When a former associate of Bobby Hawkins starts some trouble and stirs up the past, he must decide whether to risk his freedom by violating his parole in order to save his estranged daughter. Being from a small town in Kentucky, Hollywood seems like this magical place across the country that's impossible to break into. So it isn't every day that someone from my hometown makes a movie. Director Chris Easterly was a legend in my high school's broadcast journalism class. Even 5 years after he graduated, the teacher would use his videos as examples of what we could do. In fact, some days when the teachers seemed less than excited to teach, it felt like Easterly's videos taught our class. A couple of years ago, he made a documentary on Chris Ballinger, aka Hybrid the Rapper, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But until now, I had never seen a narrative story that Chris Easterly had worked on. Devil's Hollow takes place in my hometown, but it was filmed a few hours south in Knoxville, Tennessee. But unless you're from central Kentucky, you're probably not going to notice the difference. In this way, it reminds me of the movie American Animals that took place in Lexington, Kentucky, but was filmed in Charlotte, North Carolina. They talked about and visited places that I knew well, but none of them looked like these actual places. That being said, the setting in Knoxville was much more visually interesting, so I believe filming there was a smart choice. Devil's Hollow was filmed on a shoestring budget, but you would never know that because Easterly knows how to surround himself with masters of their craft. The cinematography and the sound are both way too good for a movie of this budget. And the film's editing is also very tight. Not a second is wasted in the 78-minute runtime. There weren't a lot of locations in the movie, but each one was a real place that fit the tone and style of the movie perfectly. It's little things like the scene where some men are repairing an old fence on a farm that just adds this realistic lived-in charm to the movie. Devil's Hollow is a small-scale story about a man, his friends, his family, and his checkered past. The story feels very realistic. It's not full of outlandish coincidences. It progresses very rationally, and everything that happens makes sense to the audience. This is not a fast-paced, action-packed thrill ride full of explosions and action scenes that are going to challenge your perception of reality. The script of Devil's Hollow is more like a Tom Petty song. It's not flashy, it follows a tried-and-true formula, and it's just solid. This is a textbook indie film. And while there are a few scenes where people don't come out unscathed, I found that the most effective scenes were the one-on-one scenes full of character development, whether it be friends talking, father and daughter bonding, or bad guy intimidating good guy. And I recognized both of our leads, Shuler Hensley from Dexter New Blood and David Dwyer from about a dozen TV shows and movies, dating back to RoboCop 2 all the way to Stranger Things. Now, both of these guys are great and brought their roles to life. We sympathize with Hensley's Bobby Hawkins, who's a good guy who just got caught up with the wrong crowd and has been painted in a corner more than once and had to make some tough decisions. And Dwyer brings a quiet intensity that you just wouldn't want to cross paths with, while the rest of the cast does a fine job and acts much more convincingly than you would expect from a micro-budget indie film. Hensley and Dwyer are the true stars of the show. Easterly clearly has some talent as a filmmaker. He's able to push the technical limits of what should be possible on a micro-budget film. Now, being a filmmaker is more than just writing a script. It's being the ringleader, getting dozens of people on board with your vision, and being able to direct and execute that vision into reality. It's about keeping that same spark and passion that inspired you to write the script in the first place alive for years while you bring your vision to life. Aspiring filmmakers should look to Devil's Hollow for inspiration. You don't need millions of dollars and state-of-the-art technology to make a movie. All you need is a story, a vision, and the time and passion to bring it to life. Catching a ride home with the police, digging holes at night, doing push-ups in the foyer, parole officer hangovers, threatening a man in his own house, working on a car with only one good arm,